Buttons. Welcome, Friday night. Writing some code. Today I have a friend of mine with me that is actually all the way in Korea. Is another maintainer and contributor to the RX UI application suite, Colt Bauman, and he's here to walk through some static analyzers that we've been talking about. So I don't know if anybody out there is a functional programmer, but things like closures are a very ugly thing. And a couple of weeks ago, I had somebody else on that was walking me through how to create a code analyzer, and a code fix for such things. And Colt brought up a couple of very interesting topics himself that he had been playing with, so I brought him on so that we could kind of talk through some of those things. So I'll turn it over to Colt and let him go to town.
All right, thanks, Rodney.
Welcome.
Like Rodney said, we're gonna go over analyzers. I haven't been doing it for too long. Maybe the last few months, I've been trying to dig in and get used to the analyzers. And like you said, a couple weeks ago, he had a guest on who went through and made an analyzer for win any value for reactive UI, but he did that with Writer, and I've never used Writer before, so I'll be doing this one in Visual Studio. But it's gonna be, if you saw that solution, it's the same basic idea. Whenever you have whenever you're using win any value, if you use a constant value instead of using the lambda parameter, it'll give you a runtime error instead of a compiler error. So that's what we're trying to fix. All right. The reason I'm starting here, usually there's a template for creating a Roslyn analyzer project, but unfortunately, this current version of Visual Studio throws a path error whenever you try to create a solution. So the workaround is to create a blank solution and then create the project from
Good
there.
old Visual Studio workarounds, yeah?
Oh yeah. I did some digging yesterday when I was trying to prepare for today, and it looks like they have a fix, but it'll be in the next preview
I
version.
want to say the next preview version is coming soon. I saw something about it today, I think on Twitter.
Yeah, even in preview, 16.8 preview 1, even that one has the error, so it's going to be in
Got
preview
it, got
2.
it, got it.
All right, so we'll go ahead and name this win any value analyzer. And I can tell they've been working on this continuously. I guess the template, when the solution template was working, it created 3 projects. Now when you create it from in here, can everybody see my screen since it's
It's on the configure your new project is what it looks
all right,
like.
let me go to share screen and see if it
Somehow.
wants to make me. And, all right, here, let me switch windows.
Okay.
How about that?
That is better.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So if I go to new project, and you'll have to excuse me. I have like a 6 or 7 year old laptop that I'm using, and it's just a Samsung whatever. So it might be a little slow.
No worries. I will work on my comedy routine as we wait. How's that sound?
Oh, that sounds beautiful. Let's do that. Take the attention away from the
Right,
slowing.
right. All the bad jokes. All the bad jokes.
All right, so if you can see, if you just search analyzer up here in the bar, they have a net standard analyzer with code fix template. They have a C sharp and Visual Basic, so we'll choose C sharp. So this template actually creates like 5 different projects. They like separate it out like really.
Yeah, because there'd be the project of which you're actually going to analyze, right? So because the analyzer would need something to run against, then it would be like the analyzer project and maybe like the code fix project. And,
Right. Yeah. Let me see.
and I say all that because I am. Oh no, are you hitting the error?
Let's see. Oh man.
It says net framework. Does that matter? You're doing framework 472?
This is fine.
Okay.
This is fine. The funny thing is that hold on. Oh, okay. I see what happened. Instead of adding it to the current solution,
It's trying to configure a brand new project.
that's exactly right. It didn't make my empty
That's
solution
weird.
here,
Okay. Yeah, you should be able to just do like a file new solution, right?
so so unintentionally I showed you the error I get whenever you try to make the project from scratch and it says invalid path exception or something.
Right. So now we have proof Visual Studio.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to show you guys proof. That's all.
Well,
It's not too
you wanted
complicated.
us to see what you've been dealing with all week, yeah? All the frustration, all the aggravation, yeah?
Yesterday was a good choice to do a quick run through. So,
Yeah, so it's funny like the live streaming game. Everyone wants to see you like write code live, and that's great and all, but it's kind of hard. So sometimes you got to prepare a little bit, right? You can't just go in completely blind.
exactly. And even when you prepare, something's still gonna go wrong.
Yeah, it's gonna go wrong. It's not much you can do about that.
All right. There we go. Now you can probably see I have actually have a solution here. It's empty.
Yep.
So we'll do to add new project. Same choice. And this time we cross our fingers.
Check your location before you click go, only because it looks like the
All right.
location.
It opened the pop-up window.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if it'll. We should be going back to the normal window in a second. I guess it does a dynamic swap as part of the same.
Yeah, so I get the same experience on Rider. Like sometimes when I share Rider on screen on like Teams or Zoom, you don't get to see any of the context menus when I share just that window. But when I share my global screen, it'll show everything. So it's just one of those weird things about using apps with context menus.
I see. Okay. Right now I'm just staring at the creating project loading dialog, so it should be back in a moment.
Oh, it's no big deal. We can sit and watch Visual Studio wait for a second.
There we go.
That good old fashioned 32-bit process, yeah.
Oh yeah. And when I was going through and just creating a sample project, I wonder how difficult it would be to make one of these analyzers for function when any value or schedule or something. So the minimum it's actually less than I thought. So
So, and that was the
I was
interesting part about the stream with Matthias was that like it's really not that difficult to create. Like once you understand the plumbing, it's really understanding the Roslyn aspect of it, yeah? Like how the code is really compiled. That's like really the hardest part. And like once you kind of understand that API, it becomes a little bit easier. Oh, that's perfect size. That's perfectly good.
all right, there we go. Good. But yeah, exactly. Before trying those little mini analyzers, I was really digging in and learning the API.
You are a much braver man than me, sir.
I had to really dig in and really get, yeah, it's something, it's one of those things where it's a little overwhelming at first, but yeah.
Well, and it's like, and so meta programming, right? Like this is the concept of what we're talking about, meta programming, right? It's one of those things that it's really cool, but the average developer really has no need for it.
That's
Like if,
true,
like if you're just building tooling, like if you're not building tooling, then you may never actually see the internals of the Roslyn compiler. But for people that like to go where dragons are, like you functional people, yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so see over here in the window, yeah, it has these all opened up and ready to go for us. So
Oh,
one is the main analyzer.
right.
So that's where the analyzer goes. another one with one script. That's where the code fix goes. Another one, which is might be unnecessary to use. In the previous template, it had three projects instead of five. But anyways, the only one this has is something that we won't mess with: install and
Right.
uninstall
Yeah,
all
that's
the tools.
probably dealing with the actual packaging and installation of that analyzer, I'd assume.
Right. I guess just really wanted to really clean separation of concerns. So we have that, and then we have the test project, of course,
Okay, so it actually
and then
okay, so the default template gives you a base extension point for your unit test already.
oh yeah,
Oh,
it
that's
gives
nice.
you even two boilerplate codes. One where the analyzer doesn't trigger at all, and the other one where you test the code fix. So that's
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
that's perfect. I mean, two unit tests set you up for checking and a rewrite. That's perfect.
Yeah, otherwise you're pretty much trying to learn how to program again. It's like, okay, how do I write a test for an
Well,
analyzer?
and that was actually what tripped me up, right? Like Matthias blew through it and made it look really simple, right? And then I sat up there for 2 weeks trying to write a unit test, and I had to engage all manner of smart people, and everybody was just like, "Man, go back to the guy that showed you how to do it and get him to show you how to do it." And I'm like, "That's not a good answer."
The kind of advice you don't want to
Exactly. All right.
Oh man. So we have that, and then the last one is the V6 project, which actually, yeah, gets installed to the user's place, and that just has one file too, which is the manifest with all the information stuff.
Okay, so so the default template really gives you the ability to write, test, and deliver this analyzer. That's a pretty good thing, I'd say.
Absolutely, and actually, yeah, we could run the project right now, and then it'll have a working analyzer with the code fix.
Let's do it.
All right, sure. Let's start out with that. Let me
Because at this point, you're kind of teaching me what I don't want to learn.
Right.
It's like, oh, I want to learn it. Don't get me wrong. But
But yeah, if you think it's a waste of time just showing the built-in analyzer, then we can just skip on to the next.
oh, no. I think that there's value in it. I mean, we can go. We can show it running, right? Show the base point, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Right.
But
Sure.
anytime with the Visual Studio project, I always like to run it before I start adding packages because you get stuff like this that happens. It's just like, oh wait, how do I get it to run? Which one is the right project?
Yeah, luckily I know which one. It's saying we can't debug a project that's a net standard library, so I just have to change the startup
Got it.
package. So you change it to the V6 project. So startup.
Okay.
So might have another window switching problem. I'll probably use Skype to switch my focused window, but it'll start a new experimental version of
Ah, that's
Visual
right. That's
Studio,
right.
which is a completely has completely different settings than normal Visual Studio. Let me see. Let's go ahead and break the ice here.
And let's see what happens. He says start without debugging.
Just for now, we'll go into debug when we need to, but because my computer is slow, I just want to get a quick.
Oh yeah. No. I make the joke.
Right. So I guess you're still talking.
No, we actually were able to see that content. We were able to see we were able to see it come up,
Oh,
and we were able to see it switch to this window. It looks like it's loading a new window.
well, that would be nice. Let's see when it's done loading. So I'm opening up an existing project. It already has some code snippets in there, so it'll save us some
Okay, so
time.
you've already got code for us to analyze.
Right, yeah, and I've been reusing that amongst a couple different analyzers, just so I don't have to create a new
It's
demo
funny that you
project.
say that. I had to do the exact same thing for the last one. I was like, oh, I guess I need to give you a base point to test the code off of, right? So I think that's actually a great point. Is we should probably set up some type of shared base project that has all of the random things in RX that we would want to analyze, and just kind of go down the list of analyzers and start checking them off one by one. Yeah.
Right. All right, so
Yeah.
can you
Debug
see
app.
the loaded solution? Oh,
Yep,
and if you
code
see the
looks
code
just
that I'm
fine. Yeah.
looking at, all right, great, it works. Okay, good. So as you see, I have one, some
Yep.
observable stuff here already. Um, and let's see. Okay, so the built-in analyzer is this one up here, the type name. So it's called, if you hover over this, it says, the type program contains lowercase letters. So it wants you to turn it
Got it.
into all caps.
That's the
So
default. Okay.
that's the code fix. So if we go to potential fixes, and then it has make uppercase here. And then, all right. And I think screen sharing probably make it a
Oh
slow
yeah,
load.
we
The
can see the
preview,
context menu. Yep.
the preview.
Yep, and it wants me to change it to program. Yep.
Right. Okay, and you can also see, yeah, it does it for every class in here. This
Yep.
one gives the same one. So it looks for
Okay.
type names. So here's something that I had to figure out. I was creating a new analyzer project, and I wanted to. And I had already created other ones before, but it kept using my other analyzers that I created before, and it made debugging difficult.
Really? That's weird.
So yeah, it's a completely different separate project, but right now you can see the unit value that I practiced with is triggering here.
Gotcha. Well, is it because possibly that you have it loaded to the IDE or?
Right. So actually, when you debug your analyzer, if you go up here into tools, it actually installs it in a managed extension. So you just have to go over
Right, that
here.
would make sense because that's why they give you the VSIX package to install, so that
Right.
way they can
So
install it.
it's
Nice. Okay.
yeah. So it's debugging it just like it was installed somewhere.
That's actually very useful.
So can you pop it up and down?
Would you say, Colt? Sorry. Yeah, we can see the pop up.
You
Yep.
can see this one here. Okay. So if we go to installed and all, you can see I have
Yep.
our current one. This one I did yesterday just to make sure I wouldn't have any last minute surprises. And then we had RX analyzers where I actually went through and made a couple actual simple working analyzers. So I'm gonna go ahead and disable both of these. And this one. Here we go. And yeah, you notice it'll take effect once it's reopened. But that's okay. We're gonna close this project anyways. This
Right.
isn't our real project. So close and close. All right. All right. So we're back here again. So let's go ahead and take a look at the unit test real quick. Unit test one real quick, so you can see what comes out of the box. All right. So we have. Unit test one is just this really small. Small thing. I think I'm losing my voice now. I think I'm losing my
Nah,
voice
you'd be
now.
fine.
So this one does with strings. Does it with strings? A test string. So it creates a test string, and then you call this helper method verify analyzer async. As you can see, the comment says no diagnostics.
Makes sense.
Then you go down here to this other one. A little bit bigger test. So has a string of a whole program. Not just program, so it can compile. A whole program, so it can compile.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the test, and then where it's wrong. And where it's wrong is the test. This where it's supposed to be the correct version.
Okay.
Then you use another helper method to get the expected analyzer that triggers. So we expect. This is the analyzer rule that we're using. Then you tell it the location and with arguments type name. So it'll actually tell you the classic name. It won't just give you some generic. Oh, your class name. Then after you have the expected, then you call this verify code, and you pass in all the parameters. Expect test, and then fix test, and then should have a passing test.
Okay. It seems straightforward enough.
Right, but there's another thing, a trick here that I had to learn too, that I found an answer on Stack Overflow for. So I think they're still working out the kinks. So
Stack Overflow is
so
the savior of us all.
I'm saying this guy. Let's see. All right, let me open up this test explorer window over here, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm just going to take you through what I had to go through.
Oh yeah, sure. Show me all your
Except
pain.
without skipping all the hours and stuff. Skipping all the hours and stuff. Hours of search.
Yeah.
Hours of search. All right. All right. Fresh project. We haven't done anything. Let me go ahead and run these real quick. And I can share links to these solutions that I found too. I haven't bookmarked, so I haven't bookmarked to other people.
I know you do. So what we'll do is we'll get those bookmarks and we'll post them on the YouTube video underneath the YouTube video for people who want to go look at the documentation.
Absolutely. Way to retrace your steps.
Yeah.
Retrace your steps. I guess it's the first time running. So
Yeah, it has to figure itself out. So while we're there you go. Never mind. Right. As soon as I come up with a thought.
you can go ahead and ask. You can go ahead and ask.
So I see that the analyzer that we're calling is win any value analyzer, and the name of the analyzer is win any value analyzer, so on and so forth. Does it govern that we could potentially have just a project, one single project of like reactive UI analyzers, and then ship that one project as its own thing, and then like having our own separate set of like, does that make sense from an analyzer perspective, or would the analyzer project need to be like one to one to the actual analyzer?
Uh, actually, yeah, it's most common. Actually, if you go out there and search some popular analyzers, most of them collections of a bunch of analyzers in one solution. So you don't have to create a project for everyone.
Got it. Okay.
For everyone.
Okay.
And just like with normal, project structures and other different there's different flavors of solution structures. Some people instead of using strings like real code files and real code files in the theory, like I guess when you're doing X, when you're doing theory, they just put a whole bunch of theories that link to those files, and then you do file dot read all text and stuff. Read all text and stuff. They say it's more maintainable.
I could see that.
Right. So as you can see, the second test failed.
Oh no. Failing unit tests.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I know, right? Let's see. So it has a message over here. Yeah, of course. I think it's not showing. Because we're not
Of course.
right now. Delayed. Big time delayed. Okay. So let me stretch this out a little bit. It just said expected zero, actual one. So it says there is one diagnostic reported, but we expected zero. And this is because the built-in one is a little broken. So the solution, or let's not say solution, let's say workaround. Is we go to our analyzer, and it's something with the code generation. An analyzer, a diagnostic. So it's not us. It's like a generated code thing. So if we use this parameter that's called out automatically by the project context dot, and then the very first thing we have up here is generated code analysis. And then we have so generated code analysis flags and none. So don't try to analyze our generated.
Oh, well, that would make sense, yeah.
Right. So I'm sure the GitHub people I'm sure they'll have a clever solution for that later on.
I'm sure they will.
But for now, we have to do it ourselves.
Like, I don't know, making that the default on the context.
Not exactly. So there's also this other interesting diagnostic that it reports and it gives you the option to enable concurrent. So if you do that, it'll put it in your put it in there. So as
Oh,
long as you know your code is correct, safe, this is
yeah.
safe
I
to
was just
do.
about to say that word concurrent. It says threads, and threads are notoriously difficult, and I'm sure we're gonna get to that a little bit later when we talk about schedulers. So,
Right, and as you can see, it has a big summary for this too. You can go probably go read it later.
right. Please read me so you know what I
But
do.
right. So the good thing is the whole Roslyn
just
API is
built
completely around immutability. So even if you add to a
so
list,
even if you add to a
if you
list,
just do list
if you just
add,
do list
it won't
add,
add it to that when it
it
creates a
won't add it
brand
to
new
that when it
list. So
creates a
that's
brand
good
new
for
list. So
threading.
that's good for
Yeah,
threading.
yeah, exactly. Like so, you touched on a very important word. So, mutability was one of those words that was like the big bad boogie monster, and people would use it, and like I never would understand what it was. It took me like years to to appreciate it in context what people were talking about. But yeah, like copying that list over makes it so that you're not actually mutating the state that Roslyn is originally working on, because if you do that, you could have a lot of issues, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good choice
So I think it was a
to
good choice
make the API
make the
around
API
around immutability.
around immutability.
Of
But
course,
of course,
people aren't
since
used to that
people
style of
aren't used to
programming,
that style of programming, I've seen
uh,
it kind of
Stack Overflow
Stack
questions, and then
Overflow
the answer was
questions,
just
and
like,
then
oh,
the
just
answer was just
reassign
like,
it
oh,
because
just
it's
reassign
immutable.
it because it's
So people are like,
immutable.
why isn't this
So
getting
people are like,
added
why
to
isn't this getting added to
my list?
Oh, that's so funny to me because I can see myself sitting there looking at the code, slamming my keyboard. Why won't this thing change? Oh, because it's immutable, Rodney. You should know better.
Yeah, it's a different way of
Yeah, it's a
programming, but
different way of programming, but
once you
once you
ingrained in
have
your
that
head that
ingrained
okay,
in
this
your
is an
head that
immutable
okay,
API,
this
and
is
I
an
just have to
immutable API,
reassign
and I just have to
everything,
reassign
then we're
everything,
good to go.
then we're good
So
to
it's
go.
interesting, right? Because like the concept of mutability took on a new meaning when I started functional programming, right? Because like we don't really deal in the true immutable space, but we try to be immutable, i.e., we pass around static context or context to static functions and allow those functions to do the work for us as opposed to directly mutating state, right? So like in functional, you're generally not mutating state until you get down to the very bottom, whereas in most imperative code, you're mutating state every step along the way.
Right, exactly,
Right, exactly.
Hey, look, we have a passing unit
Hey,
test
look, we have a
now.
passing
Nice.
unit test now.
Just because we told it
Just because we
don't
told it
include generated
don't
code
include
analysis.
generated
So that
code
was one
analysis.
gotcha that I
So that
had
was one
to
gotcha
learn.
that I had to learn.
Oh man.
All right.
All right.
All right.
So we got that
All right.
much. So we got that much.
Another thing I had heard,
Another thing I had
about
heard,
functional
about
programming and
functional
immutability. I
programming and
heard that,
immutability. I
way
heard that,
back when it was first
way back
introduced,
when it
people
was
weren't
first
crazy about
introduced,
it
people
because
weren't crazy about it because computers weren't as
memory efficient and
memory
everything.
efficient
So
and
creating a
everything.
new
So
object every
creating a
single
new
time
object every single
wasn't
time
a good idea, but
wasn't
now
a
we
good
don't really
idea,
have to
but
worry
now
about
we don't
it.
really have to
Right.
worry about
Object creation is relatively cheap.
Right.
right.
All right. So
All right. So
we're not going to concentrate on a
we're not
code
going to
fix right
concentrate on
now.
a code
For this
fix
stream,
right now.
we'll
For this stream, we'll
just
just
do
the
just do
analyzer and the analyzer
even
and
because I guess the main purpose of
because
this
I
is
guess the main
just to
purpose
yell
of
at
this
the
is
user
just to
like,
yell at the
like there's
user
some
like, hey,
closure here and
like
it's
there's
going to
some
throw an
closure
error.
here and
So
it's going to throw an error.
just let
So
the user
just let the
figure
user
out how to fix that for now.
figure out how to
Right.
fix that for now.
Yeah.
All right.
And to Colt's point, the reason why this is becoming more important is because one of the things we're seeing, Colt and I were actually helping somebody in the Reactive UI chat maybe a couple months back, and they had created a closure in a when any value, and that throws a runtime error, and it took me about 20 minutes to dig through some of the code to realize that that's what was going on, because it's so easy to miss. So having something in your face, ReSharper, Roslyn, telling you, hey, this is going to throw a runtime error, you can't do this, is extremely helpful. Especially for people, new to functional programming, new to specifically reactive UI, giving them something that helps them understand how to do it a little bit better, At the feedback level of compile time is really where we want to be.
Yeah, that's well, yeah, well said. Yeah, that's well, yeah, well said.
So what are we doing here, Colt?
So here, all right. So I deleted some. All right. So I deleted some boilerplate code and I went ahead and copied and pasted this out here because it's just creating a diagnostic and recording it. So we're gonna reuse it like that pretty soon.
Seems good.
So in the initialize method, it'll always give us this context and so it has all this already out here for us, localizable strings, title, message format, category, creates a new instance of this rule, so it has all this already created for us. The localizable string used over here in this resources, resx file. Wow, that opens surprisingly fast on my computer. Okay. So here, just like with C sharp, we can pass parameterized messages, fill in exactly the name of the member you're talking
Okay.
about. So in the initialize method, which is called by Bauman, you can register different kind of object. This one was registering symbols because it was looking for type names. But us, let's see, we're looking for a method called win any value. Let me see if I have. Let me see if I can copy and paste over one of these snippets. We can have the target that we're looking for right in front of our face. I know that helps when you're writing an analyzer.
Oh yeah, yeah, it definitely did. Looking exactly at what the code looks like, so you can parse what the compiled time code is supposed to look like. Seems like it would be a very helpful and efficient thing.
Right, and your guest did that when we were in Roslyn, and I found that extremely helpful. So you could just easily glance up and see, okay, I need to look for this. So right. So I'm away from the screen right now. I'm away from the screen right now. I'm going to find that snippet.
No worries, take your time.
Going to a good old debug app. Okay, here we go.
Okay, it seems Visual Studio is being super helpful at the moment. It's got a big gray block in front of your Visual Studio screen.
Oh, so that's what you're greeted with when I navigate away.
I've seen worse.
Nice. Okay. All right, are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
All right. Let's see. There we go. Right above.
Right.
Our helper function. So here, put it here.
There we go.
Okay, so for those of you who use reactive UI, you'll recognize this extremely common. So the thing we're trying to make an analyzer for start off with something simple. We'll just call it. So this is the way you're supposed to do it. Each lambda use this lambda parameter to access the object. But sometimes people, it's so common, and you do it without thinking. Sometimes people will accidentally just access the property directly, and it won't throw a compiler error because this variable really does exist in this class.
Right.
But with this, yeah, I guess go ahead and log me in. Yeah, I guess go ahead and log me in. Greeting, how it will give you a greeting. It'll give you whenever.
Oh, if I remember correctly, it's gonna give you. I don't remember what the exact error is, but it's gonna throw a very nice runtime error. It's not gonna say anything about a closure. It's gonna say something about access to something is not allowed. Yeah. That's exactly, yeah. It's got something to do with the constant value, because here you're using a technical constant value inside the lambda. Yeah, there you go.
right, and the expression, it just doesn't know how to deal with that kind of stuff. So,
Well, that's a good
so
point. And what's also interesting is that, like you said, that you could mess this up. So what happened with me the last time I encountered this myself was a month ago. The IDE is so much smarter than I am. So while I'm typing, it was doing things, and I just wasn't paying attention. It got rid of the X dot somewhere along the way because I was furiously slamming out code, and then I go to run my code, and everything blows up.
right, so yeah, right, so yeah, oh so helpful, auto completion can even mess up people who've been using the active UI
Yeah,
forever. So this is really helpful thing. So this is really helpful for us to
agreed.
uh, so yeah, we'll start with having this here will help.
Hmm.
I was gonna, oh yeah, I guess when I was working on this analyzer, I was trying to, I was trying to, do my homework and old reactive UI issues, and there's actually an open issue, like hint that says we need to make this better,
That doesn't
and it's
surprise
still,
me.
right, yeah, Kent Bugart, one of the alumni main he had an issue open, and it's still
So yeah, let's let's
so I
let's let's
just,
get this thing figured out and let's close that issue. Yeah.
yeah, maybe Rodney and I can start making a few analyzers.
Oh no, that's exactly what's gonna happen. Like after this, you and I are probably going to push this up to some GitHub place, and we're gonna start just churning through analyzers. Cause why not? I gotta figure that once you get ahead of steam, it becomes easier, and you can kind of start to churn through a couple at a time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's always the first. The first or second that's a real pain.
Yep.
And I say second because you can make one analyzer, but it'll be completely different than the other one.
Oh
So
wow.
you're learning the one. So you're learning. If you constrain yourself to one API, it's like, oh, this one API. But then you need to solve a different problem. But then you need to solve a different problem. It's like, oh, I gotta learn that.
Now this is sounding like RX.
All right. So the first thing we're going to do is they use register symbol, but that's not the only thing. Actually register something else. We're going to do something else. First auto suggested thing. First auto
Syntax.
suggested register, which is a register action. Syntax node action. So they have different ones. Compilation, start action. Let's see. Code block action. And so don't go and ask me what each of those are, because I only know what those are.
That's fair, but it's safe to say that each one looks for a different type of compiled code. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So let start first. Let me go ahead
Yep.
and start first. So syntax node action is probably one of the most common ones. So I think you'll see that because you can see that just like with you and your other guest, on Writer, you can go and every single language element into its counterpart and
Okay.
analyze it. So register syntax node action instead of symbol kind, this is gonna have syntax kind, and we're gonna use invocation expression for this. So invocation expression, you can write, okay, this is gonna be
Got it.
a method call.
Right, because when any value is a method call on top of this.
Right.
Okay.
So if we look over here, we look syntax node analysis context. So that's what we need to change. This delegate to syntax analysis context. Now it matches. Okay. Now we can create our function in here. And that's basic. That's basically what a simple analyzer it is. You have an initializer method, and then you have
The thing you're analyzing.
the one that does it.
Right, the context. Yeah, exactly. Right, that makes sense. You register. Okay, so let's look at this real quick from a registration perspective, right? So you're explicitly registering the syntax node action, right? And I'm assuming, and this is a safe assumption, I believe, that you can register yourself to multiple types, right? I can register my context to listen for multiple analysis kinds, right? So
Exactly.
Here in particular,
Exactly.
okay, great. So then here in particular, we're registering to the syntax node, right? And then we're saying, hey, when that context comes in, go ahead and pass that context down to this function.
Right, right. Then you can be
Right.
confident
Then
in
you can be
kind of
confident in
you can cast safely whatever you register to
Okay,
register.
okay, another benefit on top of that that I hadn't even thought about. Okay, that's awesome.
Right. So if we wanted to,
Right. So
just
if
like
we
you
wanted
said, if
to,
we hover
just like
over
you
this,
said,
we
if we
can
hover
see
over
that
this, we can
this
see that this
where I passed in the
where
syntax
I
kind,
passed
it's
in
a
the
params
syntax kind,
argument, so
it's a
you can pass
params
in as
argument, so
many
you
as
can
you
pass
want.
in as many as you
Nice.
want.
Okay, so we get in a context in the initialization. We can then register whatever we want to it, and then we can act on it once the trigger for this thing comes to light, right? Because it's just basically like an observer pattern, I would assume. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So
Right. Yeah.
it'll pass us every
It'll
single
pass us
invocation
every single
expression that it
invocation
finds.
expression
So
that it
if we do
finds.
var,
So if we do var
invocation
invocation
expression
expression
equals
context
dot node. This is the one we
node.
want.
This is the
Node.
one we
So
want.
that's where
Node.
the
So
invocation
that's where the
context is going to
invocation
be.
context is
Okay.
going to be.
So if we do
So if we do
as
invocation
expression syntax.
expression
So the
syntax.
naming convention
So the naming convention I
used
usually
so far in these
use
only
so
3
far in
months
these
that I've
only
been doing
3
this
months that I've
analyzing
been
stuff
doing this
is
analyzing stuff.
I just name it. I just
name
like
it.
the type
Just
except
like
without
the
the
type
syntax
except
part.
without the
So I just
syntax
leave off
part.
the
So I
last
just
part.
leave off
That
the
makes
last
sense.
part.
So just to
So
have
just to
make a
make a compromise between
explicitness, not
explicitness,
abbreviating
not
everything, and then just
abbreviating
being able
everything,
to
and
not
then
make it
just
too
being able
long.
to not make it too
Mm-hmm.
long. So so
All right, all right.
so of course, yeah, we can
So of course, yeah, we can
do a null check here.
do
If
a
it's
null
not,
check
if
here.
for
If it's
some
not,
whatever
for
strange
some
reason
whatever
it's not
strange
an
reason
invocation
it's not
expression,
an
we can
invocation
return
expression,
here.
we can
Okay.
return here. Because maybe
Some other programmer went
and registered another syntax
registered
kind
another
too.
syntax kind too.
That's possible. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like it's a null check. You always want to check for null, right?
right. And I've seen that quite a bit. So if it's null, we don't need to analyze this
we don't need to
anymore.
analyze
This has
this
nothing to
anymore.
do with
This
what we
has
want to
nothing to do
analyze.
with what
Okay.
we want to analyze.
All right. So after that, so there's this. Do you remember anything?
Do you
About
remember
when your other
anything
guest
about
was
when
talking
your other
about
guest was talking about
symbols and the difference between
symbols and
syntax?
I believe so.
Symbols. So to refresh your
Symbols. So
memory,
to
it's the
refresh your
same
memory,
basic idea.
it's the same
So
basic idea.
syntax is
So
just
syntax
he
is
doesn't
just
know anything
he
about
doesn't
types.
know anything
He
about
can't
types.
tell
He
you
can't
like,
tell
oh yeah,
you
this is an
like,
observable.
oh yeah,
And
this
it has
is
all
an
these
observable
methods.
and it has all these
But
methods.
a symbol can. It can tell
type
you
information.
type information.
Okay, so syntax is just data, but a symbol is data and metadata.
Right, yeah. So with the syntax stuff,
So with
we
the
can
syntax
say,
stuff,
oh,
we
there's a
can say,
bracket
oh,
here.
there's a bracket here.
Semicolon
Oh,
here.
there's a
There's a
semicolon here.
Got it.
there's you have you have
white
you have
space with
a
length
white
of 12
space with
here.
length of
Gotcha.
12
Okay.
here. So yeah. So let me see. It's going to be
It's going to be in
the
the context where you can access
really helpful thing.
really
This makes it so much easier.
This makes it so much easier.
So context, semantic
model.
semantic model,
Then
dot get symbol
get
info.
symbol info.
So we want to get the symbol info for this invocation expression that we just passed.
Okay.
And we know that this is a method just because it's really simple to analyze. This is going to return symbol info. But we can do as I method symbol.
Okay.
Let's see. Am I using the wrong one? Just a moment.
No worries.
Oh, of course. my memories, my memories. I'm trying to go too much off of memory instead of using my instead of exploring the auto completion and doing searching. So the thing I'm missing is okay. So this one will give you a symbol info object. Then you do dot symbol.
Right, because you're getting an info object. Yeah.
Right, there we go. So it has an I symbol. So it has an I symbol, and we know it's a method. So we're going to cast it to method because we want information that's
Okay.
specific to methods. All right. So with that, we can get some really useful information. So let's do the same kind of goal check here. Just because you never know, especially maybe this analyzer executes even when your code has a compiler error, so you didn't finish typing what you were typing. So method symbol, if method symbol dot name, we're going to do it like this. I think you and the other guys did it similar to this too. We're just going to check for the name explicitly.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, for now anyway. We're going to do the bare minimum this one, and then later on down the road, you're like, oh, it might fail in this case, or it'd be cleaner. We do this case, then we can always make improvements. But so far, I haven't had any problems with this approach, and I've done a lot of experimentation. So if it doesn't equal that return. So this will filter out a lot of stuff that we don't need. Right off the bat.
Okay. Yeah, right, because if it's not equal to win any value, then we don't care.
Right, we're after we're targeting one specific method right now. So if we look up here, we have the method info. Now we should probably check the parameters. So let's get the method symbol. And the very first thing it suggests is parameters. So we can actually get the parameter information. Just that easily. And if we want to explore the API real quick, just do so this each parameter has name, type, all these other useful things. We go to let's go to here. That's one thing I like about Writer. I've never used Writer, but I've watched your streams, like where it'll actually decompile the whole source instead of just giving you the
just giving you the metadata. Yeah.
Right. But I have been finding it useful, but I'm sure I would find. I mean, even this metadata is useful because I can, go to it and be like, okay, it has this one. But you just can't check implementation
Right.
details.
Yeah, I live in decompile mode these days. Let me see what this source code is doing.
Your streams. Right. I watch your streams and I was like, maybe I need to try out Writer one of these days.
Let me know if you want to try it and like it. We'll see what we can do. Okay. So we have this parameter information. So we got parameters. Now we want to do. Actually, you know what? Let's have some debugging fun. Let's do it.
So this is the process I developed when I was experimenting trying to figure out how I'm doing these. I go in debug mode, analyze in all the values straight from there. Oh, okay, I can access that.
This is where the magic happens. Let's see. This will probably where I kind of like saw the light without debugging. It would take me so much longer to get used to this API.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So debugging, I was able to go in there and explore all the values and stuff. And yeah, let's hope debugging session doesn't take too long.
We'll see how it works.
Right, right.
We're only an hour in. It's no big deal.
Okay, yeah, actually, yeah. I've had a lot more to say than I expected. I originally asked Rodney, should we try to do two if we have the time? But we'll be lucky to do this one. Because nothing has gone wrong. We've had a lot to discuss. So let's see. Anybody on the chat?
No one's out there. Everyone's, I guess, gallivanting around on Friday night.
No. That's right. It is Friday. Saturday morning.
So and it's funny that you like. I always put the time in UTC time because it's easier in my mind to just give people UTC and let them do the calculation. And I always realize, oh wait, it's tomorrow UTC time. So technically, I'm streaming Saturday. Ugh.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, because like I got I have you and Glenn are both on the plus side of the 12-hour difference mark for me. So it's always interesting. Like when you're waking up and going to work, like I'm going to sleep and vice versa, and it's weird.
Right. Yeah, we always. Yeah, usually if I see it, catch a message from you, it'll be like in the evening or I'm on the subway on the way going to work or to bed.
Yeah. The number of Slack messages I've drafted at like 5 in the morning.
All right. Well, can you guys see this empty window that's trying to load?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I see the empty window, and it seems like it's trying to load it.
All right. Good. Yep, there it is. Just has to try pretty hard. All right. So in a moment, once the analyzer load, you should be able to hit a break point in a moment. Yeah, it should take me back to the analyzer project whenever something kicks in here. Hopefully it's just being slow right now. See. Because after the project loads, then it tries to load the analyzer and all that stuff. Yeah, there's a little pop-up bubble that says background
Ah, okay.
task is still running.
So Visual Studio is doing its 32-bit process thing.
Yeah, and the stream only seems to make it.
Oh yeah, even worse.
But yeah, that's alright. Oh my goodness. Now the bar says you get packaged.
In just a little while.
Right. We'll eventually.
Oh, well, that's right. This is a live file. So if you so when you load this, right, you'll make changes to this file and it'll jump over to the other one for the debugging. I would assume.
Exactly. Oh, look what happened. There we go. Look what happened.
Yay, we're loaded.
Finally. So that's exactly what happened. So that's it automatically jumped back to our other
Okay.
window. So all right. So now this is where you can get really familiar. Is the text big enough? Is the text big enough?
I still see it as being in the program.cs of the debug app, but the text in there is big enough.
Okay, you're still in the
Yeah.
okay. You're still in the debug app. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Where's this screen share? Is that option? Is that option that I? Oh, oh.
Let me see. I don't see.
The Skype share screen button is kind of
Uh-oh.
right now.
I think we might have overloaded Skype.
I was I was trying to see if I could switch over to the debug screen, but uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's redo this. Just a moment.
Oh, take your
Just a
time.
moment.
I would say we could edit this part out, but people will just have to suffer through it. Oh well. They'll have to feel the pain.
Oh boy. And the pain is not even the pain is not even at the moment.
It's with
At the
Skype.
moment.
Yeah.
Screen sharing.
You can. Oh, you said you can't click the button, so you could just kill the screen share and.
It's like yeah, right. Yeah, right. Buttons aren't doing anything. Buttons aren't doing anything anymore. I think
Skype has
Is
frozen,
really I can move the windows. I can move the windows and
but you
stuff.
can't click on buttons.
Stuff.
How about this? I can hang up and try and call you right back. You can see if that'll work.
Yeah,
All
let's do
right.
that.
We're just gonna
Let's do
take a
that.
quick moment here and see if we can't get that solved, folks. All right, and we are back. Oop, I'm over here moving stuff around.
Try this again. All right, so we're at the first break point. So if hover over this node, hopefully you guys can see.
Yep, we can see just fine.
Look at that. We have a win any value thing on our first try.
Oh, wow.
So it's invocation expression. So our cast is going to work. As you can see, it shows the spacing. So win any value. This. Then we can go into here. It has another expression, which is the member access expression, which is the dot in any value, and each you see x dot, and all those are member access.
Ah, okay.
So we can see those and dig into that one. This one has another expression, which is an invocation expression, because we're using unique style stuff. So every time you chain on another method, it'll have an invocation expression within another one.
So you'll have two layers deep for every lambda function.
Actually, the lambda is part of a different section. This is just the
Got it.
there's probably a couple methods chained on each other. So I can drive another one deep, and we'll get to another member access expression. And this one is any value by itself. So this is the one we're accessing. The other one, whatever. I think they probably subscribe tagged on the other one.
Okay.
Then if we go into this expression, then you see this expression has this expression syntax. So this keyword.
Got it.
So yeah, you can go pretty far into there. So it goes from the end of the chain, and then it nests everything from there until you get to the very beginning of the expression.
Okay, so it almost creates like an XML node style of a tree or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So if I click out of all these things, if I had So I think on there we had two invocation expressions. So one was probably the first one was probably this one subscribe.
Okay. Yeah, that would make
Then
sense.
we got to this one, and then we got to this one. So first, yeah.
Okay, so it walks backwards up the syntax node.
That's exactly what it is. And I was to that at first, but I was like, okay, that's what it does. It always walks backwards.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been used to that either.
Yeah, it took a little bit. All right. Expression is not long. Now it's this term. So oh boy. Okay, screen flickered.
Yep, no, we're still good. I can still see.
Yes, we are. Okay. Method symbol. Cool. Now we have a method symbol. And it's not. So that null. Okay. Now we can see what kind of different stuff symbol has the syntax. It has a lot of information.
Oh, that looks all like the reflection information. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can't. This won't do reflection. This won't give the actual values.
Right.
But it'll give you
Right.
all the reflection type information. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say constructed from system.observable t subscribe. So that one's right. Let's see. Parameters, length 1. I think this is length 1. I think this is part of the
Most likely, yeah.
function. So that means this one might return because it might not be unity value. We'll have to see. So I'm just trying to get to the useful information here. Let's see, one parameter.
It looks like it's the subscribe, yeah.
Return system. System. I display system.
Yep, that's subscribe.
Cool. So this one. Right. Yep. Right. Return. Okay. Yep. Return. F5 again. F5 again. There we go. Back at the beginning. Mode is. Skip some of this stuff. Okay, there we go. Now we got past it. This is unity value. This is the name, because the
metric
name,
symbol dot name is
metric
unity
symbol dot
value.
name is unity value.
So if we go look at these
So if we
parameters,
go
we
look at
have
these parameters,
three
we have
parameters.
three parameters.
Cool. So this is what I like
Cool.
seeing.
So
That
this is
helps
what
me
I
make
like
this
seeing. That
analyzer.
helps me
Let's
make
go
this
into here.
analyzer.
Let's go
Three
into here.
parameters.
Two
Three
of them are
parameters.
expressions.
Two of them are
And then
expressions.
one is the
And then
selector
one
function.
is the selector
Okay.
function.
So we can,
So
for example, if I go into the
for
selector
example, if I
one,
go
we
into
should be
the
able to
selector
find
one, we should be
the
able to
named
find
parameters.
the
So if I
named
go into
parameters. So if I go into
the name of this parameter,
the name of this parameter,
let's see.
there we go. Metadata name, selector, metadata name, selector, so we know this selector, so we know this parameter, this argument is named selector,
Got it.
selector, and that helps me too because
We don't,
even though we
want to prevent
even though we want to
values
prevent
when we're
constant values
accessing
when
the
we're
expression,
accessing
the
the
selector
expression,
function is
the
fine
selector
because you
function
can
is
select
fine
whatever
because
you
you
want
can select
Right.
whatever you
because
want
it's not an expression.
because it's not
Right.
an expression. Cool. All right. So,
Cool.
all right.
This, can you
So,
see is there anything
this,
else we
can you
need
see,
to
is there
take with
anything
us?
else
We need to
before,
take with
before
us
we jump back into,
before we jump
finish
back
this
into
analyzer? Finish
into
this analyzer. Let's see.
yeah. Let's go look at
Let's go look
one
at
of our
one of our
one of our things. Let's see.
one of our things. Let's see.
We should have
We should have a
type here
type
somewhere.
here somewhere. Yeah, containing type is
containing type
that
is
win
reactive UI
that
so we
win
can
compare that. So we
has
can
the
compare that.
DLL
Has the
name.
Oh,
DLL
wow. So
name.
there's like a lot of information that we can check to verify if it's the exact function that we want. So that's what you were talking about earlier is right now we're just going to do it based upon the name, but later we could also check to make sure that it's coming from the reactive UI namespace, that it's coming from the reactive UI DLL, that we are actually getting the actual type information that we need.
Yeah, it's not just some renaming value. It's not just somebody else's library. Somebody else's library. So yeah, you have a lot of help narrow it down. Help narrow it
That's
down.
awesome.
Right? So, right?
Yeah, before I stop the debugging
before I
session,
stop
let's
the
see what kind
debugging
of
session,
useful
let's see what
information
kind
our
of useful
syntax has
information
in
our
here.
syntax
Mm-hmm.
has in here. So we'll know what we'll get. So we'll know
Into,
what we'll
let's
get
see.
into. So we have
Let's see.
so we have
When any value number access
when any value
expression,
number
and
access expression and simple number access. Simple number access. Dig into here. Dig into here.
ah. So this is the difference.
So this
it's
is
not
this is
under
the difference.
expression.
So
It's
it's not
under
under
argument
expression.
list.
It's under argument list.
So this very
One
so
has
this
the
very
argument list,
one
and then
has
we
the
have a
argument
list of, and then we have a list of arguments.
And look at that, 3 arguments.
And look at that, 3 arguments.
So
Mm.
we have so
And
we
then
have
if we go down this,
here
and then
to
if we
this
go down
helpful
this, here to
results
this
view,
helpful
we can
results view, we can
have these laid out
have
for
these
us, argument
laid out for
syntax.
us, argument syntax.
So we have
Stat,
my
yeah,
X
everything
dot
that we have
my
there.
yeah,
everything that we have there.
So these would actually be fine
these would
if we
actually
made
be
the
fine
analyzer. But
if
if
we
we
made the analyzer. But if we
go into one,
this tells us simple
this
lambda
tells us
expression.
simple
Syntax.
lambda expression
Okay.
Syntax. Simple lambda.
The other kind you'll
The other
see is
kind
parameterized.
you'll see is
I guess
parameterized.
with
I
the
guess
parentheses with
with the
multiple.
parentheses with multiple.
That would make sense.
Right. So we have
Expression.
expression. There's the parameter. There's the parameter. And go inside this expression. So now we'll jump inside the lambda. Now we'll jump inside the lambda. So it even has the arrow. So it even has the arrow token here. Arrow token number. Arrow token number. We have the body. We have the body.
So the if we
Click under body. Click under body.
it'll have
Identifier name syntax. Identifier name
X,
syntax X and then expression.
all right. So here's the
All
thing
right.
we're going to be
So here's the
interested in
thing we're going to be
comparing.
interested in comparing. Parameter. The lambda parameter. The lambda parameter.
X. So
His
we're
name
going
is X.
so we're going to
compare this and make sure it equals the first character in our access expression. stop debugging, stop debugging. We got a really great idea of everything that's exposed to us, so we don't have to just guess and depend on, the autocomplete. I wonder if this
Right, because like if you were to go look at the like if you were just to go look at the public API service, right, like digging through docs.microsoft.com, that would be very little help, right? Because like okay, I've got all of these types, but I don't know how the expression trees are put together. I don't know how the node is put together. I don't know that it's technically walking backwards up the file. Like there's a lot of things that I don't know, and looking at the docs would help, but it's also not going to get you 100% of the way there because you don't know what the object structure looks like at runtime.
That's exactly right. And another thing about the debugger view is even though it's a base class type that you're looking at, like it hasn't been casted to a specific type, if you hover over it, it will still show the members that you wouldn't normally be able to
Okay, that
access.
makes sense. That's
So even
interesting.
before this, so even before it gives like a sneak peek into it. So and yeah, so and right, yeah, right. So
Cool.
so so now that we have the parameters, I want to let's see. This one, keep it this one, keep document, document. All right, I'm gonna add. All right, I'm gonna add. So the first thing I'm gonna do is let me get a list of um, arguments for the lambda expression. I mean for the when any value. I'm gonna get a list of those. So we have invocation, expression dot argument list dot arguments. So this is our list of arguments here. And what we want to do now is we want to loop through each and every lambda parameter that it has.
Okay.
So we want to access data both from and the syntax. So I'm going to go ahead and zip these together so we can iterate both of them at the same time.
So wait, you're gonna iterate? Okay, that's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I'll try to make it less scary than what it sounds. But yeah. So so for so I'm gonna use a value table. So I'm gonna do parameter argument in parameters dot zip 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 arguments and it'll be for parameter argument. Actually, actually,
So
we'll select.
you're using zip.
Select. I know, right? I'm actually using zip, which I don't normally do. But we did that.
It's just funny because like I found another use for zip this week that I'm like I don't know if I like it or not, but I guess it works.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we basically just parameters and arguments. They're both the same thing. They're both different representations. This one's arguments is kind of like syntax, and this one's the symbol. So they'll get both information about both
Got it.
things. So So now,
we're only interested
we're only
in
interested in simple
expressions
lambda expressions
Right, right, right.
right now.
so so
You know what? I think
you
it
know
can
what
probably
I think it can
a little
probably
confusing
a little
looking at
confusing
these two. So
looking
in
at
order to
these two so in order
No,
to
it's fine.
okay, okay. Well, for me, I
well
guess.
That's fine.
For me, I guess.
Either or. Yeah, I
Right.
generally, so I've been telling people bike shedding matters not these days to me. What the thing is named doesn't bother me as much as understanding the concept in which it represents.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay,
Right.
so yeah, you're gonna check the argument expression and see if it's of the simple type, right? There we go.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. The lambda expression. The lambda
so
expression.
because
We're
you and
we're
I we know that it
you
just
and I
has
we know that it
a
just has
whole bunch of
a
possible
whole bunch of
lambda
possible
expressions, but
lambda expressions, but all of them only take a
parameter
single
except the selector.
parameter
So we
Right.
except
can
the selector. So we can
Right.
so for us
so for us in
simple as
this
possible
simple
implementation
as
we can be
possible
confident
implementation,
that
we can be
we're going to
confident
get
that
one of these.
we're going to get one of these.
Oops.
Yeah, the wrong
One
simple.
of those. Simple lambda expression. Simple lambda expression. Simple lambda expression.
We're going to
So we're
I
gonna.
can't wait until the C
I
sharp
can't wait
nine
until the
not
C sharp
keyword
nine
gets
not
there. Then we won't
keyword
have to
gets
do
there. Then
this
we won't have to
nonsense.
do this nonsense.
You know, I'm gonna be honest. I'm still not 100% like sold on this keywording thing. Like, yes, it's valuable. Yes, I get it, but I don't know. C sharp. So it's weird. Like, I'm gonna be a purist for a moment. When I first started C sharp, like it didn't have any of these niceties, any of the syntactic sugar, right? So like now there's all of this syntax sugar, and while I like it, I also feel like some of it is making it harder to write the code because take the new switch expression, right? Like my brain is wired that switches have semicolons. So so I can let ReSharper recompile it for me at least at this point, but it's going to take me a while for my brain to actually make that switch.
Right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Right. So some of it, yes, some of it, some of the new, yes, syntactic sugar, I agree with you on. But this is one, this is where I'm actually looking forward to it. So instead of doing this little not thing and not thing, everything wrapped in
You can just do is not.
code. So, but I do agree with you on a lot of it. But a lot of it, but a lot of it's just like, I don't know, we'll see. I don't know, we'll
Yeah.
see.
But generally, I like to try new things. Like I was very against VAR when it first came out, primarily because I thought that we as developers should know what types we're registering, and I get that the compiler doesn't care. But another issue that I've run into recently is you'll have a var, like if you're creating a command in your constructor for reactive UI, right, and you're just doing like var new react or reactive command dot create from task. If you just do var and you don't explicitly know that type and you go to pass it into the invoke command, you'll get a runtime error because you don't know what type it is. So knowing the type as a developer is important.
That's true. I guess another situation is kind of minor about the var variable is when I'm going to browse somebody's repository and I have no idea what type it is.
Exactly. Like, yes, I get the compiler understands, but I'm a human and I got to read this code too.
Right. Yeah, it just makes browsing code difficult.
Agreed.
Anyways. So what I did just did here is if it's not a lambda expression for whatever reason, return you're not going to deal with it. And this is handling that special case where a selector it doesn't matter. It's not an expression. This is one simple way to do it. If the parameter name is selector, then just skip it. I guess.
Now, let me ask you a
Another way.
question about that, right? So, like, here we're hard coding the parameter name as selector. Is that because your particular instance is having selector in it, or will that actually get it for any instance of a win any value because the parameter name defined on the method signature is selector?
The method
Okay,
signature.
so that's evaluating the method signature, not my actual use of the function invocation.
Right.
Okay,
That's
okay,
correct.
that's good.
So,
Yeah, the reason that's the case is because actually, see, that's why we need both syntax and the symbol information. Remember, parameter is the symbol. So argument syntax would be like what literal text is in here. And of course, not everybody specifies the named argument
Right.
stuff. But the parameter symbol, it can look inside the source code and be like, this, the official name of this argument is selector. All right. So if it's selector, don't care about it. They can do whatever they want. So, um, I've expanded on what I'm about to do to be even more strict for all the different cases and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for this string, we'll just go with the first phase of it.
Sounds good.
So we're dealing with strings, and it's actually a really simple way to accomplish a lot really quickly. So, um, it'll handle the case where you don't start your expression with the lambda parameter. If you don't start your expression with that, it complains.
Okay.
Which makes sense because this is just something where you're supposed to be accessing a member inside that's tied directly to that parameter. So you shouldn't do anything except you shouldn't be doing some complex logic.
Right.
So, let's see, there's a call over here. So I'll just call it segment. So I'm gonna split up the body of this syntax into segments, a string array.
Okay.
So we have a simple expression. Body. We're not looking at the argument. We're not looking at the argument.
Right. We're looking at the body of the actual lambda itself.
Right. Right. Which because we have the other because we have a parameter. That's the thing that we want to match. Parameter. That's the thing that we want to match. Parameter. Dot dot body dot body dot. So I'm going to use two. I'm going to use two string right here. I think that also includes all the white space. That also includes all the white space and everything. But I'm just going to use two here and then here and then split based on dot the dot parameter. Okay, so I'm just doing a simple way to split the body into segments. Split the body into segments. So if if oops, double M. Oops, double M. So if the first segment if this first segment is not equal to our parameter, then we're doing something wrong.
Okay, that makes sense.
So so when you compare to the parameters, we have a simple lambda expression dot parameter. So if it's not the very first segment is not equal to our parameter, which is x, and then we should throw some kind of warning saying, hey, you're not using the parameter that made available to you.
Mm-hmm.
So now the stuff that I copied and pasted together, I can use this to create a role. We can do it for I guess it depends. We can either highlight part of it or part of the expression, or we can just highlight this whole invocation expression.
Ah, okay. And here you're actually creating the diagnostic rule. That makes sense. And then you're doing a context dot report. Okay, that makes sense.
So this rule is referencing our static variable diagnostic descriptor, has name, title, all that stuff. So every syntax node has a method called get location. So that will get the location and knows where the descriptor is.
Welcome, Matt Coke 87 to the party.
And you can. This is not really as needed, but you can do uh, oops. Now let's just put the name of whatever the first segment was here as a parameter to our message.
Right. We wanna alert the diagnostic of what the thing is.
Right. So since I'm using the whole implication expression, it'll highlight the whole thing here, get location. So this simple implementation here will get us the basics of what we're looking for. This is all this small method right here.
Okay.
So yeah, first we get the implication expression from the context.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get the symbol information, so we can get all kinds of metadata and type information from it. Make sure it's a method symbol because we're doing this win any value for
Yeah, the win any value method. Yep. Mm-hmm.
This will should be highlighted here, and it should because we're not using x.myInt like we're supposed to. Then we make sure the method is called win any value. We don't care about anything else. Then we loop through all these symbols, the arguments and parameters. So this is symbol information, this is syntax information. And for each argument, we make sure it's a lambda expression. If it's not, we return. If it's named selector, we don't care about that one because we won't have any ugly errors like the expression arguments.
Right.
And for a good first step that accomplishes quite a bit, we just split the body by the dot operator, and we compare the first one to the parameter. The parameter is x, the body is here.
Right.
So if it doesn't, then we'll throw a diagnostic item. So let's go ahead and let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and give this a shot.
Fire the thing up. Yeah.
Fire the thing up. Well, and we're not going to get the correct message. We'll just use the default.
That's fine.
But yeah. For the sake of time and slowness, first I'm going to try it without debugging, and then see if this is where we want to be. Then if we have some unforeseen issues, then we debug it again. So this is my first time trying to explain something live stream. Does everything seem pretty clear to you so far, Rodney?
I mean, yeah, I'm picking up what you're laying down. So I mean, hopefully that other people when they come and watch, they'll get it. Matt Coke has joined us, so he's seeing the things, and he's very well versed in code analyzers and code fixes. So yeah, I think this is great, right? Like, so
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not mumbling and I'm wording things to understand.
so I was having a conversation with somebody earlier this week about coding to the lowest common denominator. And what we do at some point, you have to accept that some of these words are hard to understand and you just got to learn them. Yeah. So I can try and make it as quote unquote simple as possible, but at the end of the day, sometimes we have to understand what mutable means. And I can't just sit there and say
Right.
changes doesn't change, right? Like you just gotta you gotta pick it up. So while it's not, I personally don't think it's over anyone's head. It could be over some folks' head because how many people actually understand or even deal with code analysis at this layer? I know I don't.
And that's actually the second layer
I'm
of it.
actually
That
even
I'm
talking
actually
about
even
just
talking about
my
just my
see
my basic
see
public
my
speaking
basic
skills.
public
Ah, you're
speaking
doing fine.
skills.
That's the whole
Making
point.
making
The
sure
public isn't
that
there. It's just me and you, and now Matt.
exactly that's why it makes it silly
That's
that
why
I
it
still
makes it
get
silly
nervous
that
on
I
here.
still get
Oh, I
nervous
get
on
nervous.
But oh well.
I think I'm probably less nervous now because I've been doing them for a couple of months. Because now at this point, if you want to come on and heckle me because I can't program, it's just like, oh, you are not the public. You're regular people that I know. The public are people that I don't know. Matt's in the chat saying that he's the public. Matt is not the
Here's
public.
the problem.
He is
Here's the
not the
problem.
public. The public are the people on Twitter that troll you for no reason. That's the public.
All right, just a second. Let's see. Let's see if I
Are we not lighting up correctly?
Yeah, I think we're
we're
lighting up
lighting
when we're
supposed to,
not
and
supposed to, and I must have copied something
wrong.
wrong.
Oh,
Let's
it's
see.
no big deal.
So
No,
so
that's still the lowercase one, isn't it?
we're just using the message.
God, oh, that's right. You did say that.
Right. But let's see. I wonder if I reversed the logic or something.
That's possible. Well, you did
Because
explicit.
it's reporting it's reporting whatever the first one
Right.
whatever the first one is. So I'm just reporting it incorrectly
Ah,
in the wrong opposite case, I think.
I think it's because we did that segment 0 bit, yeah, and that might be the problem.
Yeah. Let's see what I did wrong.
So Matt says it's always interesting to compare Roslyn and ReSharper analyzers because they're very alike. Yeah, I would almost, and I don't know because I wasn't there when it happened, but I would say that like Roslyn probably had to take a page from ReSharper's book at some point. I'm not gonna say they copied the whole playbook, but I mean they had to at least look at the book once or twice to see, hey, what are these smart people doing? Because yeah, you're right. The tree approach is all very similar, right? Like the Roslyn code fixes when they got introduced were very similar to ReSharper style fixes, even down to the context menus.
Right.
All right, so what did we mess up here?
So I found my
Oh
mistake.
no.
So it's always going to fail because I'm comparing the string to an object.
Eh.
This is a parameter subject that
Exactly. Yeah.
not a string. So we need to roll this out a bit further. Parameter identifier text.
Well, that would make sense.
So now, right. That's why it was always failing. So let's go ahead and try this again. The first time I ever saw any kind of writer analyzer development was your stream. So that was something really new to me too. I'm just hoping I don't get my concepts intertwined and start confusing myself.
Well, and I think that's Matt's point is that they're so similar. The concepts are so similar that it's just the API surface that's going to be different, right? Like ReSharper is going to call it this, Roslyn's going to call it that. Tomato, tomato.
Right. Exactly.
I think to me the
I
harder.
noticed that
Go ahead. No, go
sorry.
ahead.
I noticed with Rider has a whole lot more like interfaces, like I something, but this one just has a bunch of inheritance.
Oh, Matt says that ReSharper actually uses a mutable model as opposed to Roslyn's immutable model. That's interesting.
I see. Okay, I guess I didn't pick that up last time when I was watching your
I
stream.
didn't either.
Okay.
Well, that would beg the question that they must keep the original document somewhere in like memory. So are they using like a visitor type pattern or something like that to traverse?
Actually, the visitor pattern in here in the Visual Studio Roslyn Analyzer is a big is like a common pattern, and that's when you can get step it up a notch.
Well, yeah, the visitor pattern. Like, let's talk about that. Visitor pattern is one of the Gang of Four patterns, and it's just a pattern. Okay, so visitors can be used in both. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But it's a code reuse pattern, right? So like, yeah, it makes sense that you would use something that works for the scenario that you're trying to solve for.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess they have the other word for it double dispatch. Insert passing item that you want to call. Okay, yeah, anyways. So, all right, looks like everything might be loaded up now. So it's not flaming because we're using legends here. But if for some reason I remove one of these,
Uh oh.
then the animation, then of course we change the message later. But it even highlighted the exact constant that we use called my int. And
So I
yeah,
noticed that the
so
resharper, or not resharper, sorry, the Roslyn analyzer is giving you the ability to light up the problem. Is it possible for us to get it to, and we don't have to do it now, but it's just a question and you may be able to answer it or not. Is it possible for us to just highlight the specific piece of the node that's wrong?
oh yeah, absolutely. So we just when I did invocation expression, um, get location, we just have to change that to a smaller node instead of invocation
So
expression.
okay, so we can basically just move it to closer to the metal. That makes sense.
Oh yeah. Let's just do it for fun since loading up's not too bad, I
Let's
guess.
do it.
All right, so here I'm getting the highest level method. That's why it's highlighting
That makes
everything.
sense.
But if I just want that's string, so we don't want that. We need an argument, so we can do take this argument syntax. So all of these have a get location. Anything that inherits from C sharp syntax node has get location.
Right, that makes sense, right? Like wherever I am in the document, get my location. Here's my location. Have it.
That's correct.
Okay.
And argument syntax node is very small compared to the whole method, so it knows how much to highlight and what not to.
Yeah, this API, the Roslyn API, the ReSharper API, every single time I see it, I am so intrigued by it. Like it makes sense. I get it. Like 5 years ago, you would have showed me this, and I'd have been like, metaprogramming what? Like I don't understand any of this. And like now, this actually makes sense.
That's what I like to hear. So I know we're running out of time, but I'm gonna try to in the last amount of time we have, I'm gonna try to squeeze in a couple unit test discoveries that I made that will help somebody
Yeah,
with this.
sure.
Right after I do this quick thing here. So there's another gotcha. I'll give you a preview. So all the examples that I see online of doing the unit testing, it's like it just uses the default because most of them are C sharp analyzers. They don't they don't depend on third party libraries like Reactive UI. So when you pass the test with their built-in helper function, it only includes the default system libraries MS-lib and stuff. It won't include any other third-party libraries, and it took me forever to figure out how to
So do
do
you just
that.
bring them into the unit test project as dependencies like you normally would, and then they're there, or how does that work?
That would have been nice. That would have saved me a bunch of time.
Oh no.
So that's what I was hoping for, and it didn't. I ended up having to like use the source. What is it called? The source thing where you can step into code that's not yours.
Oh, source link.
I ended up stepping into that and then grabbing out functions from the helper thing to get in
Well, that
the
sounds like
right
not
thing.
fun.
Let's see. Right, but actually, I didn't have to copy and paste. I just had to call one of the publicly available members with custom parameters and got it to work. But I had to figure that out on my own. I couldn't find anything on the internet
Oh
about it.
man.
So if we do this, bam,
Yep.
only highlights that specific part, the whole argument, and you can dig down as deep as you want. You can
Yeah.
only highlight
Yeah,
what you want.
that's gorgeous is what that is. Yeah, I like that.
Right, right.
Yeah, because it's basically like, hey, your code is gonna blow up. Like, and I think that's what I love about all of the meta programming, right? Like I am very thankful for the folks at ReSharper. I'm very thankful for the Roslyn team. Like I'm thankful that tooling matters, right? So like I'll go ahead and age myself. When I first started writing code, not when I in a production environment, when I first started writing code, it was all freaking Notepad, and you had to run it command line and get the command line output of what your compilation errors were, and then you had to go. Oh my god! Like the fact that I can see in real time as I'm writing code. Like I mean, I feel like the freaking JetBrains team deserves a medal or something, man. They had just like and the fact that they were doing this before like C Sharp made it an easy thing to do, right? Like now with Roslyn, like JetBrains could technically just drive into Roslyn and attach onto that, but they've already built their own ability to parse C Sharp documents. That's just
Yeah,
man, yeah.
right. I hear you. So right now I'm installing React. You don't have to, but you can do this if you want to. Remember at the very beginning of the talk, I said that some people like to put real code documents instead of putting it in strings. So that's the only reason I'm installing the React UI right now. Okay, so if we go back over here. Since we're running out of time, I'm gonna use grab some code from my other from the other time that I did this.
No worries. Yeah, time is somewhat irrelevant. Not completely irrelevant, but you know.
Right. Copy this. So this is what our minimize that. So this is what our new one's gonna look like.
You're gonna need to use three.
In order to include.
Code, yeah, test
Oops.
method 3.
Oops.
There you go.
So in order to usually it has this helper function, but this helper internally actually
Got it.
calls this for you.
Okay, so you dug in and figured out what it's doing.
Yep, I dug in and it's like, it's just just a proxy. It's like creating this test internally for you and just passing the default parameters in there. My analyzer.
no, that's the namespace. You got to give it the actual. It's when the analyzer.
No, no, it
Yeah,
depends
yeah, I
on
noticed that earlier. I was like, oh no.
yeah, I don't like that, but yeah. Let's see if this, yeah, there we go. So it's cool. This actually comes with. I'll paste more links after the stream is over. Well, like you said on the YouTube video, I have like probably
Nice.
five links to share. So MS Test Verifier is only Microsoft version. There's also XUnit Test Verifier,
That
Unit
makes
Test
sense.
Verifier, so you can use whatever
Okay.
you want. So this is actually the short the alias
That.
for the test, and then you can XUnit and all those other providers have their own versions have their own
Got it.
versions
Okay.
of this. Now that I have observable available, I want to include this assembly
Into your test.
into the test, because even though you have it installed in your test, it won't see it because what this does internally this creates a solution, and then it adds a project to that solution, and then it adds the file in there, and then so it creates its own solution and does everything like that.
Yeah, type aliases are awesome.
This thing is much easier to understand than 4 feet of mess
Right.
up here, right? Because this default one only gives you limited options. You get a string source, and then the expected result. That's why you need to go
And
into
figure it out. Yeah.
get your own thing. Right, right. So if I can quickly find that test file like I did with the other thing.
Seems like we're thinking again.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be busy work, trying to get that copy and paste that test code file, so I don't waste time. Even though it is taking
Time is relative.
Let's see. So I'm working on adding that file. We could just do the string, make it a string route, but I want to just show you guys how this route
Yeah, I prefer to not do the string route because, like, I've noticed that too. Like, even with the C sharp source generators, like everybody's got like these. Like, I've seen source generators where people actually walk the Roslyn tree, and then I see some like more source generators where people are just like, "Hey, here's a big wall of magic string. Go ahead and just generate that." And I'm like, I don't like that so much.
Yeah, it's not easily maintainable, and you don't get syntax highlighting. You want to go in there and address it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So all right, let's see. Let's get added. Yes, okay. So magically we have a test data folder that with one default file in here, which has just a class, and in the constructor we call it. Okay. This is oops. This is from the other analyzer that we didn't get to do today. So testing the making it will if you're not scheduler
Got it.
over there.
Yep. You should be able to just go back and grab that win any value from one of those other.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, right. Yeah, just like I did. Just like I did for this. Let's see. Demoing.
So yeah, Matt's saying that he thinks he's okay for using simple strings for the source generators. Like my thing about that is, Matt, like I think I'm okay with it. The problem that I have with it is it doesn't help somebody like me who doesn't understand that stuff figure out how to solve his use case. Like a use case in particular that I'm thinking of is generating a set of extension methods, right? Like I don't want to just paste out a wall of text and generate that. I want to try and do it intelligently if I can, right? Like let's say in particular I have a method that has potentially one, two, or three generic type parameters. I wouldn't want to just paste in that wall of text and just do it, because at that point I might as well just go ahead and write the code, right? Like that's kind of how I see it, but maybe I'm not seeing it correctly. And I think that if I'm not seeing it correctly, it's because I keep seeing all of these examples, like these, what are they called? Contrived. There we go. Examples of how to do it, and no one has really sat and shown me an example that made it click. Want to, okay, so now he's asking, Matt is asking, would I want to use the Roslyn API? Want to is a strong word. I guess I don't know what my options are, right? And like, I just see a magic string, and that's what people are doing, and that's cool and that's fine, but like, what are my options? I need to know, like, okay, Rodney, like, if you want to do this thing that you're doing, these are the options and these are the pros and cons of any given option. Like any developer would do with any tooling. Okay, so you went and got the winning value and you
Right,
put it in
right,
your test
right,
data. So
right,
okay, so
yeah.
that is your actual test.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
So yeah.
yeah,
So
Test
yeah, we
data.
can get syntax. We can get syntax out of things right now. So let me see if I go back. See if I go back to test test. Okay. So okay. So one of them. So I think this one was
So I think
just to
this
make
one was
sure
just
that
to
there
make
was
sure
no
that there was no
nothing that failed.
nothing that
Failed this test.
failed this
Okay.
test.
Okay. All right. All right. For whatever reason,
the
running a
the
test
running
seems
a test
slower than
seems
actually
slower than
debugging
actually
the whole
debugging the whole
analyzer.
analyzer.
So we'll see.
So we'll see
See how
how
fast
this
goes.
how this
I know it's got
goes.
to
I know
compile.
it's got
It's
to
building
compile.
right
It's
now.
building right now.
But so the other things
So
that
the
I've
other
done
things
with
that
this
I've done
simple
with this
analyzer,
simple
the
analyzer, the
extended
extended version
checking to
was
make sure you're
checking to
not
make
calling
sure
a
you're not
method.
calling
Make
a
sure it's a
method. Make
property
sure it's a
instead.
property instead.
Okay.
So for
So
that,
so for that,
because
because
calling a method
calling a
won't work
method
either. It has
won't
to be
work
a
Right, it
either.
has
property.
to be a
So for
property.
that,
Yep.
so I for that I check
for
the
that I check the
ancestors of the
ancestors
body,
of the
and
body,
if any
and
of
if
the
any of the
ancestors are an
ancestors are
invocation
an
expression,
invocation expression,
which is a method
which is
call,
a method
then
call,
then you
then
then you trigger the
then you
analyzer
trigger the
because it shouldn't
analyzer
have
because
no
it shouldn't have
no invocation
no
expression
invocation
inside
expression
the
inside
Right.
body.
These should be all properties.
Right,
right,
right.
right.
Should be all properties.
Should be all properties.
And then let's see. Okay. So
Okay.
it couldn't find
So
it.
it
So
couldn't
one
find
of
it. So one of
the things that you
the things that
if
you
you decide to
if
go
you
this
decide to
route
go this
instead of
route
strings
instead of
is
strings
cop
is cop
in in you have to
you have to
copy this to the
copy
output
this to the
directory so
output
it can find
directory
it.
so it can find it.
So if you select
So
test
if you
data,
select test data,
copy if newer,
copy if newer,
then it'll copy it to
then
the
it'll
bin
copy it to the
directory so
bin
it can
directory
easily
so it
find
can
it. Let's
easily
try it
find it.
again.
Okay.
Let's try it again.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where this is
executing that. So
try it again.
try it again.
And then another thing I did a test for
did a
was
test for was
the
the
null coalescing
null
operator.
coalescing
So that's like a
operator.
very
So that's like a very
specific case. Like if you're
specific case.
using
Like
that,
if you're using that,
if it
if it
contains one of those
contains one
conditional
of
Oh yeah,
those
the
conditional
coalescence.
conditional
Yeah.
access
No,
expressions.
coalescence is a thing. Yeah, you're right. 'Cause
then I think even the array access, it will throw
Yeah,
exceptions
that thing has to
that
be a
might be in
property, a straight up property. It can't be anything else.
Right. So in my other that I did before this talk, yeah, I have like probably like four extra checks, but there's probably even more to
Well,
make or something. But you might be able to inverse and check the changes the changes.
well, and that's kind of the whole point, right? If we start putting these things on paper and iterating over them, we can make them more refined as we go, right? Because I'm willing to just use them, and if I find issues with them, I can document what those issues are along the way.
Absolutely, but yeah, as you can see, like the biggest culprit of this thing is not using X and just accessing directly. So that's why this is checking for the first argument is such a
Yep.
big step in the
Reactive UI couldn't be found, so that's where you said that. Oh, because you brought in the assembly for.
let's see reactive UI. Let's see what does that mean? What does that mean?
It's probably back there where you generated that file, yeah. Because you had the. Yeah, you brought in the additional references. You brought in observable, but you didn't bring in anything from reactive UI. So you should do like a type of like reactive command or something, maybe.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense because this is the snippet from the scheduler
Right,
analyzer.
right, right.
Not scheduler. So yeah, of course. So we need something from reactive UI. Of course. See, I was working on two different analyzers at the same time, and now they're crisscrossing paths because I didn't know which one or if we were gonna have time to do both of them. Anyway, I guess anything.
There you go.
That was a surefire.
No question.
Watch me pick something other side companion
That's
project.
that's exactly how that works, yeah.
All right. So that's the thing I was talking about. So as long as you can include test state struct is something that saved me when I was like, how do you add another third party? Nobody on Google is doing this case. Everybody's using the straight up MS Core lib libraries and stuff. So this was a good find.
Yeah, that is a great find.
If it'll allow me, I can even step into one of these other ones. I think when I'm not streaming these tests faster, but I'm wondering, man, like the project generation on my computer just really this.
Nah, it's not that. It's definitely the fact that you're using other IO bound stuff.
That's true. Because remember even when I was doing the debug session, I'm like, oh, this will take a while. It's funny you watch these tests the longer than the debug session loaded up. It's so funny. Anyways.
Yeah, and the unit test purist would tell you that what you have on line 29 is just not correct.
Yeah. This is a quick way to do it. The way that the real way to do it that's better than us is to use these theories and then pass the path to each one of these. But I actually noticed that
Right, right. Well, that's the whole point. You got to read it from the file system. So that's where the unit test purist would yell at you and tell you that you should never depend on a file. You shouldn't go to the file system. Blah blah blah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Error, I enable loggers to find. Oh, you got to bring splat in, and you still have to. Okay, you have to add in more than just those arguments. You got to add in more arguments.
Observable stream. All right. So that's right. Well,
Yeah, I do get the idea.
It was easy to do I scheduler the one because it's one DLL. It's reactive UI. I mean not UI.
Yeah, system.reactive.
Anyways. But yeah, once you get all the independent.
Yeah, then you can just run through the unit test and pull it in. So that's great information.
Yeah, this was actually pretty fun. I'd like to do this again sometime. But I wish we could keep going, but I know have you have you eaten dinner? I hope you've eaten dinner by
No, I
now.
have not eaten dinner yet.
Anyway, all right, go ahead and close this out.
Oh, it's no big deal. But yeah, no, this was definitely fun. Yeah, we can definitely do this again sometime, Cole. Anytime you want to jump on and teach me something new, I'm always down to learn new stuff. Even if I forget it tomorrow, that's why we have it on video so I can go back and watch myself not remember stuff.
Right, and I can do like your other guests do, and I guess I can post a little sandbox repository of what we made
Yep,
today.
yep, yeah, you can do that. And I'm actually probably going to reach out to you because I think I'm gonna set up a project either on reactive UI or reactive marbles, probably on reactive marbles, so that we can push these things out, so we can kind of get the ball rolling on that one and the one that Matt helped me with, so we can start providing these analyzers out. I want to try and provide a set of Roslyn and ReSharper analyzers for reactive UI stuff around common things that we see, so that we're helping new developers come and onboard to the project, and not have to deal with some of the runtime issues that we know exist.
Or maybe we can close that years old GitHub issue from Kent.
Oh yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. That yeah, we're trying to close all the bad bugs, especially the ones from Kent, because Kent had like the best bugs. I would always go look at the issues from Kent. Like Kent's issues would just be the most amazing. So he'd draft up like a full write up and tell you exactly what's going on. I'm like, man, yeah. I learned actually a lot about functional programming from Kent. So that's actually yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Colt. Well, this was extremely fun and exciting for me because now I get to see the fact that the Roslyn API is very similar to the JetBrains ReSharper API. We've gotten a chance to see that writing the code is really not all that difficult, and we got a chance to kind of learn some stuff around things gotchas that you found, that are going to be helpful for other people. So yeah, we definitely appreciate you coming on and showing us all this cool stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for
Not
inviting
a
me.
problem. Well, you have a good rest of your day because it's like what's probably what like it's probably around like 10 o'clock there for you now, 11 o'clock.
11 a.m. almost
There you go.
lunchtime.
There you go. Yeah. So you go eat lunch. I'm gonna go eat dinner, and we'll figure out the next time we'll get a chance to get on and play around with some of these things.
Nice. Have a good
All right.
evening,
You
buddy.
too.